My husband had an affair with his coworker while I was 8 months pregnant. I found out on a Tuesday night. The baby was kicking so hard I couldn't sleep, so I grabbed Levi's laptop from the nightstand to watch something. He was in the shower. Steam crept out from under the bathroom door. I could hear him humming something I didn't recognize. His email was open. The subject line said, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." It was from someone named Kelsey. I opened it. Then I opened the next one, and the next. Hotels, restaurants, her telling him he made her feel alive, him saying I'd changed since getting pregnant, that he missed feeling free, that she understood him in ways I didn't anymore, that being with her reminded him of who he used to be before responsibilities took over. 4 months. It had been going on for 4 months. I sat there in the dark, 8 months pregnant, reading every word while my husband hummed in the shower like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't just destroyed everything we'd built together. Our apartment was small but expensive. We'd moved to the city 3 years ago when Levi got promoted. Corporate finance, good salary, benefits, the kind of job his parents bragged about at family dinners. He wore suits to work and talked about 401(k)s and retirement plans and compound interest. He was responsible, stable, the kind of man you marry when you want security. When I got pregnant, he cried, happy tears, real ones. He started reading parenting books before bed, highlighting passages and asking me questions about breastfeeding and sleep schedules. He spent entire weekends painting the nursery pale yellow because we didn't want to know the gender yet. We argued about cribs and strollers and whether we needed a diaper warmer. Normal things, happy things, the kind of arguments that end in laughter. I thought we were building something permanent, something real, but somewhere around month 5 of my pregnancy, things shifted. He started staying late at work. 9 at night became 10, 10 became 11, sometimes midnight. He'd come home exhausted, smelling like the office, and collapse into bed without saying much. Said they were closing a big deal, that his boss was demanding, that the client was difficult and needed constant attention, that he'd make it up to me once things calmed down. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Levi didn't lie. That wasn't who he was. He was the guy who returned extra change when the cashier made a mistake, who filed his taxes early, who never even got parking tickets. Except he did lie. For 4 months, he lied every single day. When he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, hair dripping, I was still sitting there holding the laptop. He saw my face and stopped in the doorway. What's wrong? I turned the screen toward him without saying anything. He went pale. Actually pale. The color drained from his face like someone had pulled a plug. It's not, don't. Babe, I can explain. Don't you fucking dare. He stood there dripping water onto the hardwood floor. I watched a puddle form around his feet. Neither of us moved. How long? I asked. My voice was steady. Too steady. Like I was asking him what he wanted for dinner. It doesn't matter. How long, Levi? How long, Levi? He looked down. 4 months. I nodded slowly. My hands were shaking, but I kept them in my lap where he couldn't see. Who is she? Someone from work. It doesn't mean anything. I swear to God. It was just, does she know about me? He didn't answer. Does she know you have a pregnant wife at home? She found out later. But by then we were already, he stopped himself. Already what? Already fucking? Already in love? Already planning your future together? It's not like that. Then what is it like? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. Get out, I said. What? Get the fuck out of this apartment right now. Babe, please. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Get out. He grabbed his phone and his keys from the counter. Didn't even put on real clothes. Just threw on sweatpants and a t-shirt and left. I heard the door click shut. Then I sat on the couch in the dark with my hands on my stomach, feeling the baby kick, and I didn't cry. I was too angry to cry. He called 17 times that night. I didn't answer. I just watched the screen light up over and over. Levi, Levi, Levi. Each time it rang, I felt nothing. Just cold. He sent texts too. Long ones. Apologies, excuses, promises that it was over, that he'd end it with her immediately, that he loved me, that he'd made a terrible mistake, that he didn't know what he was thinking, that the stress of becoming a father had made him do something stupid. I blocked his number at 2 in the morning. He came back the next day, knocked on the door around 10. I was eating cereal in my pajamas, staring at nothing. I thought about not answering, but I opened the door anyway. He looked like he hadn't slept, eyes red, hair messy, still wearing the same clothes from the night before. Good. We need to talk, he said. No, you need to listen. He nodded quickly. You're going to stay with a friend until I figure out what I'm doing. You're not staying here. This is my apartment too. I put down the entire down payment, $15,000. My name is first on the lease. Try me. He stared at me. I'd never spoken to him like this before. In 10 years together, I'd never raised my voice, never made demands. I'd always been soft, accommodating, easy. The kind of girlfriend who became the kind of wife who didn't cause problems. Not anymore. He packed a bag, threw clothes into a duffel without folding them, grabbed his work laptop and his charger, said he'd stay with his friend Louis for a while, just until we figured things out. I told him I didn't care where he went as long as it wasn't here. For 2 weeks, I didn't talk to him, didn't answer his calls, didn't respond to his emails. I went to work, came home, ate dinner alone, stared at the nursery we'd painted together, and tried not to think about how stupid I'd been. My friends called, asked if I was okay, if I needed anything. I told them I was fine, just tired, pregnancy stuff. They believed me because I'd always been fine before, but I wasn't fine. I was planning. I looked her up online. Kelsey Morrison, 24 years old, graduated 2 years ago with a degree in marketing, new hire at Levi's company. Her Instagram was public, hundreds of photos. Her at brunch, her at bars, her at company events wearing dresses that were just a little too tight and smiling at the camera like she didn't have a care in the world. There was a photo from 3 months ago, a group shot from a company happy hour. She was in the center, laughing, holding a martini, and in the background, slightly out of focus, was Levi, looking at her. I screenshot everything, every photo, every tagged location, every comment. I saved them all in a folder on my desktop labeled evidence. Then I went through Levi's emails more carefully. He'd been sloppy, hadn't deleted anything, probably thought I'd never look, or maybe he didn't care. I found receipts, hotel stays on nights he said he was working late, the Marriott downtown, the Hilton by the airport, dinners at restaurants we'd never been to, expensive ones, places with tasting menus and wine pairings. He'd taken her to the same Italian place where he proposed to me. I found Venmo payments too, Levi to Kelsey, small amounts, $20 here, $50 there. The captions were jokes, inside references I didn't understand, little heart emojis. I saved everything, organized it by date, made a timeline, printed some of it out and kept it in a folder in my desk drawer. Then I started researching. Levi worked for a mid-sized financial consulting firm, about 200 employees. They prided themselves on being ethical, professional, family-oriented. Their website had an entire page dedicated to their company values, integrity, accountability, respect. They also had a strict fraternization policy. I found it in the employee handbook Levi had left on the bookshelf. Page 47, clear as day. Romantic or sexual relationships between employees, particularly those in the same department or reporting structure, are strictly prohibited. Violations will result in immediate termination. I read it 3 times. Then I called an employment lawyer. His name was Richard Chen, 50-something, calm voice, professional. He didn't ask why I needed help, just listened while I explained the situation. Does his company have a fraternization policy? He asked. Yes, strict one. 2 people in his department got fired last year for dating. Good. That makes this easier. Easier how? If you report this to HR with evidence, they'll have to act. It's a liability issue. If they know about a policy violation and don't address it, they open themselves up to lawsuits, hostile work environment claims, that kind of thing. What happens to him? He'll be terminated immediately. So will she. That's standard. And they won't know it was me? Not unless you tell them. We can submit everything anonymously. I sat there for a long moment, phone pressed to my ear, staring at the nursery door. How much evidence do you need? I asked. Everything you have. Emails, receipts, text messages if you can get them, photos, dates, locations. The more detailed, the better. I'll send it to you tonight. I spent the next 3 days compiling everything. Every email, every receipt, every screenshot. I wrote dates next to each piece of evidence, added context where it was needed, made it impossible to ignore. Richard reviewed everything and called me back. This is more than enough, he said. Way more. If you want to move forward, I can submit this to their HR department by end of week. Will it work? Yes. They'll have no choice. This is documented proof of a clear policy violation. Multiple violations, actually. Over several months, I thought about Levi, about how he'd cried when I told him I was pregnant, about the nursery we painted together, about the life we were supposed to have. Then I thought about Kelsey, about the hotel receipts, about him taking her to the restaurant where he proposed to me. Do it, I said. Richard sent the report to HR on a Friday afternoon. Anonymous, professional, detailed. Every piece of evidence laid out in a clear, organized document. Email timestamps, hotel reservation confirmations, Venmo transaction histories, photos from Instagram showing them together at company events. I went home and waited. Levi called me Saturday morning. I was feeding Ethan. He'd been born 2 weeks earlier. 3 weeks early but healthy when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. I got fired. His voice was shaking. I shifted the baby to my other arm. What? Someone reported me and Kelsey to HR. They called us both in yesterday. Fired us on the spot. Effective immediately. Why would someone do that? I don't know. He sounded broken. Completely broken. I don't fucking know. But my career is over. 8 years at that company. 8 years. And now I have nothing. No severance, no references, nothing. I'm sorry. I said. I wasn't. They wouldn't even tell me who reported it. Just said they had documented evidence of policy violations. Multiple violations over several months. That's terrible. Do you know what this means? No one in this city will hire me now. Everyone talks. Everyone knows everyone. My reputation is destroyed. Maybe you should have thought about that before you started sleeping with your coworker. Silence. Long silence. Then he hung up. He came by the apartment a few days later. Didn't call first. Just showed up and knocked. I was surprised he still had a key. I opened the door. He looked worse than before. Unshaven. Rumpled clothes. Eyes hollow. Can I stay here? He asked. Just for a little while. Until I figure things out. Louis kicked you out? His wife doesn't want me there anymore. Says I'm a bad influence. I almost laughed. You want to stay here? In the apartment you tried to kick me out of. The apartment I paid for. I know how it sounds. But I have nowhere else to go. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man I'd spent 10 years with. This man I'd married. This man whose child I'd just given birth to. You can stay until I figure out what I'm doing next, I said. But you're sleeping on the couch. And the second I tell you to leave, you're gone. He nodded. Thank you. Don't thank me. He lasted 3 weeks. 3 miserable weeks where he sent out resumes and got rejection after rejection. Where he sat on my couch in sweatpants scrolling through job boards and drinking too much. I filed for divorce on week 2. Took Ethan to a lawyer's office and signed the papers while Levi was out at a job interview that went nowhere. I filed for child support on week 3. The court date was quick. Levi showed up in a suit that didn't fit right anymore. He'd lost weight, looked sick. The judge reviewed the financials, asked about Levi's employment status. Currently unemployed, Your Honor, his lawyer said. And prior income? $95,000 annually. The judge nodded, calculated, announced the child support amount. Levi's face went white. Your Honor, my client is currently unemployed and unable to. Then your client should find employment. Next case. Levi tried to negotiate with me afterward in the courthouse hallway. That amount is impossible, he said. I can't pay that. Take it up with the judge. I don't have a job. Then get one. No one will hire me. My reputation is destroyed. That's not my problem. You're really going to do this? You're going to bankrupt me? You cheated on me while I was pregnant. You tried to throw me out of my own home. You destroyed our family. And now you're asking me to feel sorry for you? He stared at me. Who are you? Someone who's done being nice. He moved 4 months later. Found some job in a smaller city 2 hours away. A fraction of what he used to make. He rented a studio apartment in a bad part of town because it was all he could afford after child support. He calls sometimes, asks if he can see Ethan. I let him. Once a month if I'm feeling generous. Sometimes less. He drove up last weekend. Spent 2 hours sitting on my couch holding his son while Ethan drooled on his shirt and pulled his hair. When it was time to go, he asked if he could stay longer. I said no. He had a long drive back. He texted me this morning. I'm barely making rent. The child support is killing me. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I read it while Ethan napped in his crib. The apartment was quiet, peaceful. Mine. I put my phone down and didn't reply. He wanted me gone. Wanted me out of the apartment so he could keep fucking his 24-year-old girlfriend without the guilt. Wanted me to disappear so his life could be easier. Instead, he lost everything. His job, his reputation, his home, his city, his future, and I kept it all.